Just a friendly reminder that the opinions expressed on this show are not worth a Canadian penny, so disregard anything you hear that might get anyone in trouble. And despite some of the great ideas you may hear, don't try them at home. Go to a friend's house instead.
It's time to get a gun. That's what I've been thinking. Well, I could afford one. And if I did just a little less drinking, time to put something between me and the sun. When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Slamfire Radio, episode 351 for April 23rd, 2020. I'm one of your hosts, Kelly Lynn.
I'm Adriel Michaud.
And I'm Jason Phil.
Yay! Yay! We did that really, really well. Trevor wasn't here, so we didn't screw it up. So that's awesome. Yay!
I miss Matthew interrupting, though.
Oh,
I'm pretty good at interrupting.
Yeah,
I've been getting better. Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to step up our game since since Matthew left. He was the king of it, but yeah, we're not that bad. So, anyways, why don't we get into the show and get it started? Jason's going to be on for the whole entire show. We just convinced him to do that. He was going to be on for the main topic, but
Voluntold, I think, is the term.
Yeah. Stay on for the whole thing. All right, so why don't we get into what we did in guns? What we did in guns this week is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Center. It's Canada's premier firearms retailer. Right now, they have the CZP-10F handgun, 9mm, of course, 4.5-inch barrel. It's black and it's $545. You need to get one of these.
Such a good deal. I just want an excuse to buy one.
Well, two is one is none. I'm not sure why you're talking about buying one.
Okay.
True.
See, this with Adriel, when you say that to him, he'll go and do it because the last handgun you bought two of them, right?
Which one was that?
That was SFR.
Oh, yeah, true fact.
Yeah.
Yep. I forgot about that one. Those ones.
Yeah, because they were really good deals. $545 is actually a really good deal for this. So, I wonder how many mags it comes with. I don't know. We don't have.
I bet you $1 comes with 3.
Well, if one is none and 2 is 1, and then 3 is 2, or 3 is 3, I don't know how this works. This is very confusing.
At that price, 3 is almost free, so just get 2.
Oh, okay, yeah. 5 is 3.
Potato.
Yeah. Kelly, are you tired of us yet?
No, I actually got distracted by an email that was sent by Sean Mullen. Hi, Sean. I'll get back to you on that one. Shiny objects. It was like, the whole bling bling, email. Okay, never mind. What were you talking about?
Kelly,
guns or
Kelly's
something.
drinking again.
I actually am. First time in a long time. I needed one. My quarantine is going well. I'm now into the booze. Okay.
All right. Gonna be one of those shows, everyone.
And I'm no longer ketoing. I actually ate a plate, and I do mean a plate full of the cinnamon rolls, and I made sourdough bread today, and I'm going to have that after the show. So I am drunk on wheat right now. It's not very good, actually. It's probably it's bad. So okay. Anyways, Adriel, why don't we talk about what you did in guns this week? Then we'll go over to Jason. Then we'll go to me. And I don't think it's going to take very long. So,
oh, but I did stuff.
Oh, did you? What'd you do?
I got out and did a little bit of gopher shooting. A little bit.
You did. You sent pictures to do, didn't you?
I sent a couple pictures. Yep. It was the snow is almost melted in the place I go. Jason, it's probably fully melted where you're at, but
all of our snow is gone at our place except for the north facing slopes, but everything else is gone.
Yeah. But place I go, it's mostly melted. But the gophers were a little bit skittish, not really out doing a whole bunch. But they were in their holes chirping at me with half their head exposed, kind of looking at me sideways, kind of a thing. So
that's all.
That's all it takes. Bring the maple seed sling out, get practiced up with that hasty, and I just went to town just like that. And I would say I made most of my shots standing offhand because you see the most like that. That's where you see the ones that are close up to you, hear them chirping a little bit, and if you watch very carefully, you see a little head just pop up a little bit. And you just got to watch that hole. So yeah, I got out and did some gopher shooting. Just brought one of my 1022s and just shot with that. Just plinked along with 22s. 22s are fun.
Yeah,
So quiet, so easy to bring like a pocket full of like 100 rounds wherever you go. And
doesn't weigh you down.
Doesn't weigh you down. Nice and cheap. Yeah, it was just a really relaxing time out shooting.
So what was the body count?
I think I only got about like 30, which is not a lot, but it's active.
How long,
enough.
Adriel?
2-3 hours.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not a lot. Like a busy day, you could do like 500 if you had like a real busy day, but not busy. I'll have to wait for the babies to come out. Then you get those triple digit numbers.
And they line up, you get 3 with one shot.
Yeah, those are fun to get. Yeah, but that was a good time. It was good to get out of the house too and get out in the field, because that's where I like to spend my time, out in fields, Alberta fields, shooting gophers and hunting deer and that kind of thing. So that was good. And then I have been doing some reloading, and I have been making some 308 and some more 308 and some more 308.
308.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
now, okay. So have you been doing it, or has number one son been doing it?
He's been helping. Yeah. He's been doing a process here or there with gloves on and that kind of thing, so he doesn't get any carbon or whatnot on his hands. But he's been helping out with it, which is a nice change of pace.
Could be a report for school. This is what I did in homeschooling. He's actually doing school from home though, right? Because he's doing it by computer.
Yep.
But it could be also, do a little report on it.
Yeah, how to make ammo. That won't raise any flags at school, will it? Oh, maybe it will. I don't know about that.
Mr. Michaud, we need to speak with you.
Yeah. They'll ask to speak to my wife, and then I'll hear it secondhand, and I don't even want to hear that secondhand.
I got 2 kids homeschooling. One on academic suspension. One's going to be suspended. It's going to be pretty tough. One of them called in a bomb threat. Got called in. We had to clear the whole building.
Oh my God! Really? Oh dear.
No, it's been good. My youngest is. It's their schedule's pretty easy. But anyway, back to what you did in gun. Sorry, Adriel, I interrupted.
No, that's fine. That's kind of what we do. I don't know if you've watched this show before, but it's kind of what we do, eh?
I said, Jason Squirrels, he's going to fit right in.
Oh, bad.
Yeah. So I made a bunch of 150 grain 308 with 41 grains of IMR 4895. I think 4895, which was, I think we were talking with, I think Tim was actually commenting on the show last time. That's the loading he likes to do for service rifle 308. That's what I'm going to use the 308 for, is in my M1 Garand. And so I made a bunch of that, and now I'm making up some 165 because I'm bored and I have bullets, so I will assemble them. I've already finished trimming and uniforming and deburring and all that other crap to my other cases, so I'm going to do something with them.
Did you pick up any more powder?
No, I'm just going to use whatever I got. I'm just going to keep making ammo until I'm all out of every single component I've got. No matter if it's I'll be using rifle powder and pistol by the time I get to the end here.
Oh, good Lord. Okay.
No, I kid. So I've been reloading, doing that kind of stuff, and I think that's about it. Yeah, that's about it for me. Okay.
Jason, what about you? What have you done in gun this week? Or since we've last had you on the show, which was a year ago?
Yeah. Well, no, it would have been last year, because this time last year I was working my tail off for the charity shoot in Drumheller. But so that's I keep getting those Facebook memories keep popping up, and I decide not to share some of them because it was a very stressful time this time last year. But
PTSD.
Yeah. It was we don't go too far, but I did a little gopher shooting a couple of weeks ago. It was the first time ever, even living on the prairies my whole life, that I ever shot gophers in the snow. And I don't know why I didn't do it earlier, because it's awesome. In the snow is so much better. They're easier to see, pink mist and all that kind of good stuff. It was good.
If you hit them right, If you got that nice backsplash.
Yeah. Now where we were, it was more densely populated than normally when I go. So I had to pick shots because, know what your target is and what's behind it. But last year we were shooting with 223 and 222 Rem Mag, and we got some serious pink mist out of that. But 17 HMR is, if you get them close, there's still a little spray there too, because it's pretty fast little shot. Other than that, I'm cleaning out my shop's got where the previous owners they made their honey in that shop. That's my gun room, and it's I was given a bunch of cabinets, so we're clearing out shelves and moving stuff, and so we're trying to figure out where to put all the reloading stuff. It's kind of funny. We've lived here 5 years, and I haven't reloaded a single shell here, but I have accumulated 4 more reloaders since we moved in. So 2 Dillons, 3 RCBS, and 3 Ponds Warren. So we can load just about everything 12 gauge and down.
Good for you.
And accumulating components, I guess, when you see them on sale or in bulk or the right price, the right time, and money falling out of my pocket like it used to, but doesn't anymore.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Where do you normally get your components for that? Where do you normally pick them up?
So wherever I can find them. So Alan Day, who is the brother of the people that own Silver Willow Sporting Clays in Carstairs, he supplied most everything when I used to reload a lot of 12 gauge. Okay. I still have a box of 5,000 shotgun wads that I haven't even opened. So the lead, the last time I bought lead, I probably bought 35 bags of lead, because the Canadian dollar was at par, and a friend of mine was coming back from the States with an empty truck, and he brought pallets of lead shot back.
Nice.
25 pounds of lead, we were paying $30 Canadian delivered to Calgary. I think that's, I consider that my best investment ever. It's over 100% return. Oops, there's that still going. And then I've got a berm at my place where we do a little 22 plinking and such. So it's, I haven't shot any scores. There's no competitions going on, but, and I haven't been practicing my maple seed yoga, which I should, but it's, we've been, this quarantine we've been very, very busy. We got an acreage that needs lots of work, and we've just been working. Like I think like everything everybody else should do. It's not what I did with guns, but in uncertain times when everybody's under a lot of stress, my wife and I decided to do a little home renovation. So that's
make it even more stressful.
Add to the tension, right? Makes it more fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it's been good. We should try and shoot once a week. Something, trying to turn some money into noise every week, and trying to tidy the reloading room and rearrange the gun safe and that kind of thing. So try to do a little bit every week. Okay,
cool. All right. That's it.
That's it.
All right. You've been pretty busy though, it sounds like. I have done absolutely nothing. And
next.
Zero. Nothing. Zero. That's it.
Well, we had a show on Monday, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to interrupt again. These microcasts you guys are doing are awesome. Like, everybody's got that little bit of extra time, and this is just a little bit of normal. I hate normalcy. Is that the right word? I'm not sure it's the right word, but
sure,
it helps. The mental health is a big thing, and this keeps our normal and our community together. And I just want to say thank you guys for doing it.
You're welcome. Last microcast wasn't as micro as the other ones, and it's a little off topic, but actually I think that was pretty good too. The fact that it is, something that's out of the norm, get other people listening, but just something a little.
I had people say they really liked it, like commenting to me. It's like
did too, yeah.
I didn't think that so many people would be into this stuff, but yeah, lots of people were. So
we had people messaging about, RC cars on radio. People want to talk about bread, all kinds of things now. So we got a list. I don't know how long this pandemic is going to happen, but our microcast list is growing. So
we're going to get weird with it. We don't know much longer we got, but we're going to get weird with it.
We're getting into the fetishes. All right.
Oh, somebody wants to say hello. You're right.
Hello.
Hang on a second.
I got a cute dog there, Jason.
Yeah. All right. So, I haven't done anything other than just doing the microcasts, and yeah, that's about it. I cleaned up my gun room. That's it. Before we move on, Adriel, somebody was asking how many 1022s you have. I have been watching, by the way.
Well, like I have some like for Project Maple Seed.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have 4.
4?
I think I have 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you were talking about taking the 1022 out, and then somebody said, "How many 1022s?"
I said one of. It's like I probably have like for 22s. I probably have a dozen. I probably have 12 22s.
Just
22s.
There's a mathematical formula that'll tell you how many you need. Where X is how many you have. The formula is X plus 1 is how many you need.
Incrementing, yeah. I don't know. I've been reviewing 22s, and I still got some of those around. I am slowly selling them off though, so yeah.
Okay.
I'll weed them out, and then I don't know, buy some more 22s to review. Yeah.
New things that come out, things that interest you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So 4 is the answer, plus 1 more, because X plus 1.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. 4. All right. Upcoming events. We actually took out the nothing. Don't do anything because everything's closed down. Because it sounds like they're actually starting to think about opening up some things. We're not sure what's going to be happening in the different areas and when things are going to be opening up. But if you do have events that are starting to pop up and you're going to move forward with them, send them to us and we'll advertise them here. We do want to talk about the 10th annual podcast charity shoot. Okay, so May 15th is our cutoff date. If we're not open, if we're not able to have, the restrictions aren't lifted by then, we actually will be canceling the charity shoot. You can still actually register for the charity shoot if you want to. You can go to the Facebook page, there's a link there, and it's actually on Practice Score. If it does get canceled, what we will do is either we'll issue a refund or we can actually just give the money that was raised to the charity of choice. Still be nice to be able to do that. So May 15th is the hard date for our cutoff, whether we're going to be opening or holding or whatever you want.
I just think this is something that Trevor's dreamt up so he didn't have to follow such a good shoot in Drumheller. He just wanted to cancel this one anyway. So
you're absolutely right. It was hard. It's hard to follow up that shoot. That was an awesome shoot. Like, that was fantastic.
That was so much work. Oh my God.
Yep. It is a lot of work. I've planned one. I know how much work it is. And you deserve a medal for it, especially because you had to deal with me and Trevor and everybody. So thank you for doing that.
If I ever do it again, the drinks will be more expensive just for Trevor.
All right. Okay. So why don't we go on to the news? The news. Adriel, you've put this one in here. It's about the Nova Scotia shooting. We do need to talk a little bit about it. I know that before we do talk about it, we do, as we said on our microcast, we want to express our sympathy and our for those who've lost loved ones, and also our thoughts and prayers are with everybody down in Nova Scotia. I know that I know people who knew people who were killed. So, I just wanted to say that. But Adriel, why don't we actually move forward with the news piece of it so that we can discuss it a little bit?
Well, just in case we have anyone who's maybe in the States hasn't heard of it, who's listening in, there was an active shooter situation in Nova Scotia. A guy went on a killing spree, killed some people that he was trying to target, killed some random people, did the whole thing dressed as a cop, dressed as an RCMP officer with an RCMP officer uniform, with a car that looked like an RCMP officer's car, killed an RCMP officer, took her car, killed some other people, took their car. Just a really tragic, crazy situation in a very sleepy area of the country. But there's a couple things that have come out of this that as gun owners, whenever these things happen, I mean, our thoughts and sympathies are with the people who lost their lives. The other thing that also comes out is that anti-gunners immediately jump on these things as, oh, well, now we have to add on some more gun legislation because this horrible thing happened, which has happened with this one, just as it happens every time. Trudeau jumped on it and said, yes, so we're going to roll out this assault weapon and other legislation right away. And the inconvenient thing for him, it's just inconvenient. It's not actually a showstopper because it didn't seem to stop him for the Dunham Street shootings either. Is that the person was unlicensed? They, according to the RCMP, they did not have an FAC. Did you guys hear that?
He didn't have an FAC.
I've never had one either.
Yeah, I haven't had an FAC. I don't have an FAC. So
nobody does. They're now pals or our pals. I know the terminology.
They have been a pal for 25 years. This guy might as well say, oh, yeah, well, you just dial up to the internet. Like, that's how old the terminology he's using is from.
I know.
It's super old.
Yeah.
And in any case, they were really cagey about releasing official details about this day of, the next day, and even the day afterwards. There were no details coming out on this thing from official channels.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my tinfoil hat off and say, in a small community with limited resources, they don't want to be wrong. I think there's been too much rush to be first as opposed to rush to be right. And I have no issue with them delaying the release of details. I have massive issue with the spin doctors and their take that we got to do something right now. But for the police to be reticent in releasing wrong information, I have no issue with that. What I have, the fact that there was no emergency alert sent out, I don't understand that part.
That was one of the issues that came out of this was we have the government has control over our phones and can send them a text message that blares an alarm in the background whenever they want to. They use this whenever there's a
Amber Alert, or they've
used Amber Alert.
They have used it recently for COVID as well.
They use it when there's a bad storm.
Why have they used it for COVID?
Why? Because when the Emergency Measures Act came into, like, for Ontario, we received it twice when it was enacted. Stay indoors. We received it through that. So if they
so the government
is for COVID,
they're willing to use this for all sorts of weird BS, and yet something like this happens where it's like, oh my God, there's a shooter on the loose that is killing random people,
right?
And they tweeted about, like, they put it on Twitter instead of through this thing that gets to everyone's phones. Like, Twitter is not a real platform. Twitter is just for people to go on and complain about stuff. Wow.
Twitter is instantaneous. It's real time. It is. But
who's on it though? Like, the only time you can be on it is if you're willing to put up with the slant that is on it. So
it's my favorite sport.
See, Jason likes it. That's why a lot of people aren't on it, because they're not like Jason. But it's absolutely right. The people that you're targeting probably weren't people who were on Twitter in that
sleepy area of Nova Scotia. No, I don't think they're paying attention to Twitter.
So it's outside of Halifax. It's actually near where my family is from. So it's a very sleepy town. It's on the ocean side. It's vacationers, people having vacation homes. So there's not a lot of people there, essentially. And it is like, there was a lot. I'm with Jason. I want the investigation to happen. There were so many different sites there's so many different crime scenes that have to be looked at and investigated. They didn't even know the number of people that died was still climbing, Monday and Tuesday.
That part I believe is understandable, because yes, you got, if there's active fires in places that you need investigation teams to go in, and that can take some time. But I believe that they Yeah, they were not prepared for this, and the response they had to it was awful, and that's why they just didn't want to respond to any kind of questions or give any details.
My thoughts on it, too, are this. Exactly what you're saying. It's a sleepy part of Nova Scotia who are patrolled by the RCMP. The RCMP, how many people do they have in that detachment? Maybe 2, right? 2 cars, maybe, right, at a Truro. So you got nothing, and then they involved the Halifax Police as well, which is a large department, thank God. But it happened on Saturday night. The incident started on Saturday night, and like at 10 or 11 in the morning? That's when he was actually shot. 11 in the morning, he was shot. Yeah. So from that period of time, they said that they were just about to put out a bulletin at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Jeez, that's like 12 hours.
12 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you had a guy that was pulling people over and shooting them.
Do you think any of that has to do with the fact that, like, for a long time, nobody knew that it wasn't a cop? Like, if there were witnesses, they would have seen somebody in a marked car in what appeared to be a uniform. And if you're the police, wouldn't you be trying to figure out who on your team was where to find out if this was one of your people? Like, I mean, I'm not trying to defend anybody. I just want to, like, I'm not. There's everything about this is bad, and the RCMP has I would say a crisis of identity and a crisis of morale from coast to coast.
Yep.
And we just don't know what we don't know. So I'm the only guy. There's only one person I'm judging in this, and I'm not going to say his name. And that's it. Like everything else, I'm more than happy to wait to find out the truth, as opposed to I don't want to find out wrong stuff first.
I think we're going to find out wrong stuff eventually, because the issue I have so far is that they've been extremely quiet, and it's like every time something gets out, it's like it shows them in a bad light, and they weren't the first ones to say it. How many days did it take before the news found out someone shot up the fire station?
But do we know? That's another thing we don't know. Do we know that was actual cops that did it, or was that accomplices? Or are you sure?
That's what they said on the report, but they didn't like come up and say like, hey, we had a friendly fire incident. Our cops were looking for another cop. They found someone. They yelled at him. The guy didn't give the correct response. There was a shoot up. They could have just said that, right? They could have said it was a mistaken identity and some stuff went down. But they didn't say anything. And those guys left without saying anything. This it's like, what the heck?
Okay, but you got to admit, you got to look at it. You got to see what was happening at that time. They were saying that somebody in an RCMP car with an RCMP uniform on is pulling people over. People were, and quite honestly, I don't think anybody's ever had to deal with that type of situation. And people are basically, quite honestly, freaking out about it, right? Including the RCMP.
I think that the people on the ground, like they made the wrong call, but I think that's okay in the situation they're in. I can't have 20/20 hindsight on what kind of situation they were in, but who came out and said it afterwards? Who was like, that was, we accidentally shot up this place. We thought we got the wrong person, right? No one said it. And that sat for a day before anything was found out. Now that's just one thing that they're not saying. And then, like, sitting on it for how many days do you need to run a PAL check for someone? 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe run a list of aliases just in case. How long does that take? Maybe an hour if you're really creative with like looking up some information. That information doesn't come out, and when it does come out, it comes out from someone saying he doesn't have his FAC. I'm not trying to like conspiracy theory. I'm just saying I believe that they have screwed up a lot more, and they're just trying to stay quiet as they can about this because it is just such a mess. Like, how did this guy get his guns? How did he get the uniform? Did anyone like call into the cops and say like, this dude's got a cruiser, a full replica cruiser in his garage?
Okay.
No one said any of this stuff.
Okay, so people knew that. They knew that but you also have those people. You do have people that are those enthusiasts, right? And they want these things, and 9 times out of 10, they're not nut jobs. I don't know if I should use that term, but
it's accurate, I think, in this case.
People collect them, like just like
Yes.
like people collect firearms, or people collect so he collected a cruiser. However,
I've sold lots of retired cop cars. All
not with their
decommissioned.
decals on, though.
No,
Yeah.
all decommissioned.
Yes.
But the fact that he had a cop car means nothing. I mean, obviously he was an enthusiast of something, but who are his friends? Who are his family? How did it get this far?
Yeah, I think that
we're going to have a lot of questions before we have a lot of answers, I think.
Right. I think that he is his ex-wife
made a good
saw
decision.
some warning signs and decided to get out of Dodge.
Saw some warning signs, yeah. And unfortunately, she was one of the victims. So.
Yes, yeah.
But I think that there was probably a lot of red flags in his case. But
of course, and they're starting on to everything. Come out. No, some of the red flags are coming out, and we know that they're going to come out because. As much as people say like lone gunman just like kept to himself, like nah, these like people see this kind of stuff. The lone gunman thing happens, just not very often. Usually some people will be like, oh yeah, if you would have said like someone's going to shoot up the neighborhood, I would have bet $100 on that guy. And a couple of things are coming out. One was like this assault from 2020 where he beat up some 15-year-old and threatened him with him and his buddy threatened him with a crowbar or something, which like by itself, who cares? But in combination with these other things, start to paint a picture of like, oh yeah, this guy is like fully screws loose. And if anyone knew this guy had a gun, they probably should have called that the RCMP safety line and said had a safety concern.
Well, with that assault, he had a weapons ban, but typically weapons bans are only 10 years. But if you had that, the RCMP would have been looking into it if he had applied for a PAL.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
But like when they this really could have gone either way. He could have had a legal PAL. He couldn't have. In this case, he didn't. Yeah.
So how did he get the guns? And then we have to look at that as well. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, I know that we should be moving on soon about this, though, is immediately, and I'm talking immediately after this happened, the anti-gun groups actually petitioned, Bill Blair, as well as Trudeau with respect to the ban.
Do they have that email sitting on their computer open, ready to hit send? Like
Absolutely. I believe that.
I don't think this is. They're looking. Never let a crisis go to waste, right?
Even a bad one, because like Trudeau was talking about assault weapons at the Danforth location of the shooting there. It's like that was with a stolen handgun. Why are you talking about assault weapons? Same with this one. This dude's got illegal firearms. And he's talking about assault weapons bans. Doesn't matter. The facts of the case are inconsequential to the push for more gun control.
Exactly true. Now, do you want to hear something? And then I'm done with this conversation, this part of the conversation, if we want to move on. But I have, as people may or may not know, I lived in New Zealand for a while, and I still have Facebook friends and such down there, especially in the gun community. And one of the guys I correspond with down there sent me a ungodly hour this morning that he's reading and watching our news. He goes, "What are the odds that the guns he used were stolen from the cops?" And I said,
the guns afterwards were.
No,
right,
before,
but what about the first one?
Before? I don't know. Yeah.
And
we don't know.
Are we ever going to? Another good question he had too is, are we ever going to find out how many people were killed with the fire, as opposed to killed with the guns, or are they all going to be gun deaths? I said, well, they're all gun deaths because the gun was involved. But he had brought up a good point. Like, the fire is a terrible thing to investigate, and. Mm-hmm. That's why they light bodies on fire in the movies and in real life when they light cars on fire, right? Is to destroy as much evidence as possible
and cause like mayhem, right? Because now you have to I understand why a local police force wouldn't be able to handle this because it's just not possible. You have to deal with a fire at every location. You've got this guy who's mobile. Like it's just not possible for you guys for them to have a good response to that.
Nope.
It's just the actions afterwards. They're like, oh man, you guys are trying to cover this up, and you guys are not doing a good job. Like this is not a good look. And it's annoying because we will face the after effects of Trudeau coming and banning a bunch of our guns because they can't keep their stuff going.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about this?
I don't know. Did tinfoil hat enough?
Feel free to edit as much of that.
We don't edit. I don't think it was tinfoil at all. I think that there's a lot we don't know, and we won't know a lot until the investigation is done. But
I don't trust any release that they do after this. The thing is, like, they were someone told those cops not to say that shooter didn't have a pal. Someone kept that information with a lid on it until like for 2 days, and they had that for 2 days. And I believe that someone in that administration, whether it be Blair or something like that, was keeping a lid on that stuff. And I think that, I can't, how can you trust these guys when you know that they're holding on to information because it's not matching the narrative and it's not supporting their further agenda? No,
but people are asking those questions. Did he have a pal or a pal? They did come out with it later. Yeah, I know.
Getting point blank questions. You guys know the answer to this. Boss says I can't say it. Sorry. It looks bad.
Yes, it does. But anyways, Russ actually says, why did the commissioner of the RCMP have to look at Blair in regards to the question whether he had a gun license? The RCMP is an independent body and should have answered it under a minute, just like any other officer would. Yes, it doesn't take that long to actually, because the RCMP is the issuing body that actually issues these. So they could have been on it, just like a CPIC. CPIC is immediate. If you do a CPIC, it comes back almost immediately. So you know what? Absolutely. But I just wanted to say also that, you know what? It's a horrible event that happened. And I'm thinking about especially the people who are living in Nova Scotia right now that have been, with COVID especially, not being able to go in and talk to their friends, reaching out to their family, giving them hugs or anything like that. This is actually pretty traumatic for them. So just wanted to say we're thinking about you guys. So let's close the door on that one until there's more news. Is that cool?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. New gun stuff. No new gun stuff. No new gun stuff.
There might have been, but I was distracted by this other stuff this week.
You're distracted by everything. Okay. Yep. So we have Jason Phelps on for a specific reason. We wanted him to come and talk about shotguns. Adriel's going to do the interview because he's super interested in the topic itself and is going to guide our...
Well, we've talked about shotguns before, but we had some questions on chokes. And I think that the last time we did shotguns, we approached it in a very clinical, theoretical way. We're talking about, well, here's all the different kinds of chokes. Here's all the different kind of shot. And here's all the different kind of blah, 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 blah. And I think, okay, that was interesting. I think that it would be more applicable for our audience if we talked more specifically about how you apply that. What actions do you use? What shot sizes do you use? Which chokes do you use for different applications or different tasks when you're using a shotgun? Because I think that would help people more. So, Jason, why don't we start with something that you're extremely passionate about? Why don't we start with trap? What kind of No?
Missed it by that much.
You don't shoot the skeets or you shoot the traps?
And so let's start generically with clay target sports in general. And we'll get to the individual games because each one requires different shells, chokes, and shot and loads and such. So we'll start with trap. Start with clay target in general. Internationally, as far as I know, no clay target sport allows a shot size bigger than 7. Now, you'll see most here are 7.5 or 8, but we do see shot size 7 in some countries. And if you put shot 7 and 7.5 side by side, it's very hard to tell the difference without a micrometer. And if you have 7.5 and 8 side by side without micrometer, you can't really tell the difference. Of course, the higher the number means the smaller the pellet. So a 7 is bigger than a 7.5 is bigger than an 8. I have used shot sizes as small as 11, and that was shooting skeet, and that was just because it was a novelty. Somebody had a box to try, and when you hit, there's a lot of lead, a lot of pellets coming out of a shell with an ounce of 11s in it. but they're small pellets. So if you shoot at a target too far away, you risk the chance of hitting the target but not breaking it. So trap, skeet, sporting clays, 9s for close targets and incomers, and 7.5s or 8s for the rest, and that'll pretty much do all the clay target stuff that you need to do.
Do you ever use 9s, or you just go 7.5, 8s for like the whole, like all the time?
When I was shooting a lot of skeet, I used a lot of 9s. There was a time when I was shooting 7/8 of an ounce of number 9 shot, 1,450 feet per second. I think they were a Winchester a load. But the reason I bought them reason I shot them is that I could get them under $50 for 10 boxes of shells, taxed and delivered to me. So it was about price. I was poor, and it was the way you could shoot more shells. But when I buy a shot, it's 7.5 or 8, and I don't really care which one it is. The only time I would use 9s now is if I'm shooting at the belly of a target. So a clay target is dome shaped. If I'm shooting the underside of a target, they're easier to break from the bottom than the top, just the geometry of the target. Somebody told me that. I believe it, so let's call it true. And it just seems if you can see the underside of the target, it takes less effort to break it. So if I have 9s and it's a close in target, I'm seeing the bottom, I'll put in a cylinder bore or skeet choke and shoot the small loads. But 99% of everything I've shot in the last 10 years has been 7.5 or 8.
So practically speaking, 7.5 or 8, good to go for your clay sports.
Yeah.
And what kind of you were mentioning chokes there just a little bit. You're saying skeet or cylinder. Which ones, like, do you typically change them out, or you typically just run the same ones all the time?
So we'll talk. I normally would shoot anything that is 15 yards and closer. I would shoot with a skeet choke, and anything past 15 yards, I'd use a light modified choke. And again, because I'm poor and cheap most of the time, most of my life, those were the ones that I had were extended chokes, and they were easier and faster to change when I was shooting sporting clays. Now, to prove a point, because I'm a bit of some have said I'm a bit of a dick. People were running their mouth at a trap. It wasn't a competition, but trap shooting night. And they told me that the only thing you could shoot was number 7s with a full choke and 1 ounce and 1/8. And I just happened to have a couple 7/8 of an ounce shells, like a couple of boxes of them. And I shot from the 27-yard line. So that's, if you're shooting handicap trap, that's as far back from the trap house as you can. And with a skeet choke, and I still beat them. Now, I'm not a great trap shot. I've never run 25 trap targets straight 2 rounds in a row. Like I've never done 50 straight. So I'm nowhere near competition trap level. But it's the chokes will help you by inches, and people miss targets by feet. So for people that change them in and out a lot, it's more of a mental game than anything else. You're convincing yourself you can with this tool, and realistically, George Digweed he shoots 32 or 36 inch Perazzis, like they're incredibly long barreled, extra full chokes that are fixed. You can't change them. Like there is no threads there. They're just fixed choke shotguns, and he's won more world titles than anybody else. So it's the shooter, not the tools. But in a game of inches, every advantage you can make and give yourself, you do it. So if you can't compensate with skill, you spend the money and you buy more tools and toys.
Yeah, because you're light modified, and you're saying you got skeet and light modified, so that's a pretty wide spread, right? You've got one that's very on the very close side, and one that's dipping out pretty far.
Yeah, with light modified, I have broken targets at 60 yards. That's not consistently, but that's probably the farthest I've shot targets at. With my eyesight, I mean, that's so far away. It's hard for me to see it, and it's moving and lead and all that kind of stuff. So if it's past that, I'm just guessing anyway. But there are competition targets that we have shot. A rabbit target, so it's an extra heavy duty clay target that's meant to bounce off the ground and roll on the ground. I've shot them in international competition that was 35, 40 yards away and going downhill at an angle away from you, so you don't even get to see the full face of the target, and you need to be tight on those. But there again, you're talking about your shot pattern. The looser the choke or the more open the choke, the bigger your pattern is. But you need typically 3 pellets to hit the target to break it. So it's the same amount of pellets out there. So the bigger spread, the bigger spaces there are between them. So you need to be able to have them close enough together to break that target. Realistically, any of the clay target sports that you're going to shoot in Canada at amateur level competition, an improved cylinder choke and an ounce of number 8 shot, and the rest is all you and in between your ears.
I like that. That's some very practical advice to give. IC and number 8. Yeah, I mean, in 3-gun, we would like IC is good enough for most of it. You could use modified, just the same thing. I think if your local club are masochists and they put in some like really tight no shoots against their shoot targets, that a full choke is kind of handy. Ours is different though, because like we shoot like spinners and like steel, you get knocked down. You got to put a lot of lead on those things. You can't just put a couple. So your aim has to be good, and you need like that dense pattern to nail that spinner if you want to turn that thing around.
What distance are you shooting those targets at, Adriel?
10 to 25 meters. But
so
if you, even at 10 meters, IC is starting to get a little bit broader. If you hit them with an M, you'll get most of your pattern inside that paddle. And guys shooting cylinder bore shotguns, just give up. You're never going to spin that spinner, even with a cylinder bore shotgun. You just don't put enough pellets on target for it to turn. It's surprising the difference it makes.
Are you familiar with the term cutting a ringer?
No.
Have you got a shotgun shell handy?
No.
Okay, so picture a shotgun shell. Yep. You have your brass inside, then you have your plastic. It's not full, right? There's a wad inside there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you cut the outside casing of your shotgun shell around the wad, when you fire that shell, then the whole plastic casing goes and it keeps your pattern together a little further out there, and it acts sort of like a frangible slug. So I'm told, allegedly. This is for entertainment purposes only and not to be used as legal advice. Don't do it.
It sounds like a good way to get some random crap stuck in your shotgun.
Oh, no. I've never heard of anybody having anything stuck in your shotgun doing that. I mean, and if you did, the plastic would basically fall at the end anyway.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's I've seen other people shoot, I don't know, 50 yards and it's like a shotgun slug splatters. It's
interesting. I've heard of people doing like wax slugs, but like that's against the rules in 3-gun to use like a slug on a pellet target. But hang on, if you're reloading your shotgun shells and you just pour a little paraffin in, that's on a single stage press, you couldn't do it on a progressive, but you could just pour paraffin in, and then the pellets will not separate when they leave the barrel, but they will separate when they impact something. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's something I don't know the rules of 3-gun, and I have no application for that personally.
I've read them. I have never read anything about using paraffin on pellets and whether that's legal or not. That'd be an interesting an interesting gamer move there. But why don't we move on to a different sorry, go ahead.
On clay targets, it doesn't help. Don't do it there.
No, it doesn't help on clay targets. Why don't we look into another sport? Maybe get into some hunting or something like that. What about what action? We talked about clay sports. What action do you use for those?
This clay target sports are dominated by break action shotguns, far and away. Partly because you get a fancier gun. And it's a little easier to walk around with you know how you have chamber flags for your maple seed, and everybody's concerned about muzzle direction and safety, and safety is paramount. But with a break action shotgun, there's no way to discharge that gun when the gun's open. So we use the term open or out. So when your gun is closed, everybody assumes it's loaded. When your gun is open, everybody assumes it's not, because it cannot be fired when it's open. Mm-hmm. If you're shooting a semi or a pump, then you have to have your action open, and it's a little harder to see. So everybody, I mean, I like I shoot in competition a Beretta 391, which is a semi-automatic. I use it for hunting and for clay target shooting, and I use a Beretta 682, which is an over and under. Now, I don't know anybody who competes with a side by side. Maybe one. I think there's a guy named Dan.
Practically speaking, it sounds like over and under or semi.
Yeah. Unless you're shooting, you're a dedicated trap shooter, and then you've got a single barrel break action. So it's just a single shot shotgun. And
if you're a poor, then you use a pump?
If you're a poor getting started and a lot. I mean, I never did. My first shotgun was a Franke 500 that I bought.
I would say that firmly puts you outside the realm of the poors.
It was the cheapest shotgun in the Calgary buy and sell. It was $260, and I sat at the craps table till I won enough money to buy that gun. It's the only time I've made money.
Did you start with $500 and then end with the gun?
I started with $40 and ended with the gun.
Nice.
Yeah. But I am not I've never been a gambler in that regard. But yeah, that's how I got my first shotgun. But it was a hunting gun. A Franke 500 is not a clay target gun. It's a fixed full choke. It is light. It is. It did not withstand the abuse that regular clay target shooting gave it, and I actually wore it out twice. Like it's gone to the gunsmith twice to get rebuilt. Now it just has a place of privilege in my safe as the first shotgun I had. And then
That's
I went
something that we run into in 3-gun as well. People like wearing out shotguns.
Yeah.
When you look at like some of the Turk semi-autos, like they're cheap to start with, and some of them are okay to start with, but as soon as you start running 10, 20, 30,000 shells through them, it's like everything starts breaking on them, and
exactly,
and they're not reliable anymore. Same thing with like the Mossberg 930s and that kind of thing. Some people start with them and they really like them, they run, and then parts start breaking on them. They start like just jamming and getting unreliable. It's there's a difference between a shotgun that can go thousands of rounds between cleanings and a shotgun that can't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can we? I need to switch devices here because I'm going to lose battery on this one, and I can't plug in and have my earbuds.
I'll monologue about 3-gun for a little bit.
I'll be right back.
All right. So I mean, in 3-gun, in terms of action, you see most people using when they're first starting out, pump action shotguns with an extension on it.
Okay.
IC or mod for a choke, and you're good to go. And if you got a little bit more money, you get yourself a Stoeger M3K, which is a semi-auto inertia action shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got more money than that, you get a Benelli M2 or one of those fancy Tackord Versamaxes, or you get yourself an M2. Or if you're going to go open, you get one of those Typhoon F12s and you mod it up. And those will also suffer from some parts breakage. So just be ready for that. Most open guns do. Most open guns need regular maintenance to run. And so we got you on 2 devices, Jason.
Not anymore.
Oh, okay.
Sweet. So when you're doing 3-gun, what choke do you use on the 3 when you're?
IC or mod, and you could go with either one and run the whole time with just that. If you're going to get fancy, or if you need to conserve shells in a particular, like some stages might have overlapping targets or targets that are very close to each other, which with a shotgun is pretty hard because you put a no shoot next to a shoot and it gets some pellets in there. You rack up your penalties.
Right.
So for those targets, you may want to run a full. But those are rare. Like you don't see those very often. Most of the time you see people running just an IC or mod 100% of the time, and they're fine just with those.
Okay.
Yeah. We shoot, we call them poison birds in sporting clays too. They'll throw 3 clays and one of them is an off color. Mm-hmm. And if you hit that clay, then nothing counts. And they're not done in major competitions, but in fun shoots, it's a it's a pretty common thing, and we can use them in competition, but it's kind of random on how the clays come out of the machine. So it's not usually done in big money competitions or big prestige competitions, but they're certainly out there.
Yeah, you don't want to have the randomness with a competition where people are like supremely invested in it. But like in 3-gun, semi-auto is always a benefit. Although some guys like to run like huge extensions on their pumps because you can. There's no limit to your capacity for a pump shotgun in Canada. But mostly semis and no brake action or bolt action. Someone was asking me about bolt action shotguns and like, why would you use these? I'm like, never. That's a terrible idea for everything. Why would you use a bolt action shotgun?
Oh, for a boat paddle?
Yeah, maybe in a country where like you can't have a better action on your shotgun, and that's as good as it gets.
I think they were cheap when they were new too, weren't they?
Or people might have used them for slug hunting with deer and that kind of thing, because you could run a rifled barrel and a bolt action shotgun and it would be okay, I guess. You're only going to shoot one shot anyways.
I shot trap with one time only just to say that I'd done it. But yeah, it's not the right tool for any job I've ever done.
No, because everything else works. They're not precise enough to need them.
Right.
Yeah, but they're very neat. The old Savage bolt actions with the magazine on them. It's just like it's the weirdest thing ever. But okay, well, there's 3-gun. There's trap. What about some of our hunting sports? What would you use for? What would the optimal tool be for upland? And what is upland, anyways?
So upland game refers to bird hunting that's not waterfowl. Pheasants, chuckers, partridge,
chickadees.
Good luck. That's a tight choke on that. and you got to get a lot because it takes you got to either stay as skinny as Matthew.
They just do a kebab with a whole bunch of them on there,
right?
Oh,
I shoot when I shoot pheasants. I'm usually when I'm using my over and under. If I use my Browning, it's fixed, full, and modified, so I use that. And I like shooting. It's an old Browning superposed. It's built in 1959. It's just one of my favorite shotguns.
You said three things there. You said fixed, full, and modified.
So fixed means you can't. Yeah, fixed means you can't change them. They are. That's just it is just the barrel that it is.
You can't screw in a different choke. No, it's just built in.
Yeah. Yep. And the Browning superposed, the barrel walls are too thin to be able to thread them. Like that's something that you can do with some older shotguns. If the barrel wall is thick enough, you can have the barrel. Now, just because the rules are rules and postage is postage, you could send your barrels to Briley, and I think they're in Texas, but I can't remember. Briley will thread your barrels and sell you choke tubes, and for old, especially old like an Auto 5, great running shotgun. You're never going to wear it out shooting target loads with it. But most of them, I think all of them were all fixed chokes. You could get it sent away, have or as I did when I used to shoot a Browning double auto, which is just a 2-shot auto, a 12-vet. I had 4 different barrels, and I could actually change barrels faster than some of my competitors could change chokes. Now, I never competed with it in serious competition because it was just a gun that I bought because it was kind of neat and cool and the price is right. But it came with there were no changeable chokes, but it was a very, very, very quick system to change the barrel on it.
Yeah.
But really there are clay target coaches called Gil and Vicky Ash, and they actually wrote a magazine article for Sporting Clays magazine that actually had the best description of what chokes are and what they do, because choke tubes to change them while you're hunting is craziness. Yeah. The reason double barrel shotguns have 2 different chokes in them normally when you buy them is you shoot one barrel for close range, and if you miss, you shoot your second barrel for further away if the bird's going away, or vice versa. Now, if you've got 2 triggers and you're quick on the think, then that that's easy to do. If you're not quick on the think, then who knows if you're going to get both barrels together or the wrong barrel first. So I've never had a twin trigger shotgun. I don't like them, but I don't like them because I've never had one. I never had to learn with one.
I kind of like the single trigger ones because you're just like no thinking about it, just to 100%. Start pulling the trigger.
And if you happen to get your finger between the triggers and you pull the back trigger, the recoil can drive that front trigger into your finger, cut your finger, or they're designed to pull the front trigger first, so that way you can just drag your finger to the back trigger. Not the most precise trigger trainer maple seed trigger pull or trigger press, pardon me. But it's a thing. It's just not. It's outdated and obsolete, and you only see it now in really cheap or really expensive shotguns.
So I think what you're saying is for upland, double barrel, single trigger, whatever choke system they got in them. One that's a little bit more open, one that's a little bit more tight when you missed and the bird's flying away. Yeah,
but this year I shot all my upland. I shot with my Beretta 391, and with a IC choke in it. Mm-hmm. And this is, on a percentage wise, this is a really good year for me. I don't think I got 10 pheasants and I used 12 shells. It's a pretty cheap year for pheasant hunting for me this year.
Yeah,
but I didn't go as often as I like.
Yep.
Goose hunting, I used the same gun goose hunting. As it turned out, skeet choke would have been fantastic because I went to take a shot at, I was with two old fellows and I went to take a shot at the geese after they called the shot and they said, "Sit down, not yet." And I'm like, "Why? Too far." I'm like, "I can shoot that far." He goes, "I'm not walking that far to pick it up." Now, the combined age of those two guys was dead plus. And I said, "I'll do all the walking. I'll pick up all the birds." But that was pretty much it we had 6 or 8 geese that day. It wasn't a big day, but if you're shooting inside.
Before we get to the geese, two things. One, what shot size for upland? And two, can you move your camera up a little bit so we're not like,
sorry.
There we go. Yeah.
Sure. I was going to shut my camera off so you don't have to look at me. I'm trying to stay away from the kids downstairs. So. And I'm trying to keep the window from being behind me for the whiteout. So
there we go. What shot for pheasant? 7.5, 4, double aught?
Double aught. So I use 4s and 6s. I use when I'm shooting, I use 6 in my bottom barrel, 4 in my top if I'm shooting it over and under. And
is that steel or lead or bismuth or titanium?
I shoot pheasants with steel shot. And not because I have to, but because where I shoot pheasants primarily, there's lots of ducks. And if I happen to have the seasons overlap and I'm in the same spot and there's ducks, I like to eat ducks. So you cannot hunt waterfowl in Alberta with lead shot, but you can hunt upland game with lead shot. So if you're more than welcome to shoot pheasants with lead. There's no regulation against it. It's a good thing. I tend to shoot with steel, because I bought a bunch that was on sale and I have it, and that allows me to shoot both. And if you're caught with dead ducks in your vest and you have lead shot because you were shooting pheasants, you're in a bit of jeopardy. So just to avoid the questions, I shoot my pheasants with steel. I try and not take any shots outside of 30 yards on a pheasant if I can help it. I've got a reasonably good dog if I can keep up. So pheasants, 4s and 6s, 6 when they're close, 4 when they're further away. For geese, I use number 2s or BBs. Somebody told me that was the right thing to do and the results have been good. So I've stuck with it. I haven't done any experimenting to find out if one's better than the other.
You said BBs for geese?
Yeah, BB or number 2 shot. And shot sizes go, like I said, 11, 9, 8, 7.5, 7, 6, 4, 2, and there are other.
There's one.
Is there one? I've never seen one. I believe
I got a box of it.
And then it goes. There's BB, triple B, double aught and triple aught buck, which is double aught buck. I think is about the same as a 9mm. for diameter, I think.
They're big old lead balls.
Yeah, I mean, you're not shooting birds with that. And like I said, I do it because I was told to, and it worked, and it wasn't broke, so I didn't try and fix it. I've really done very little bird hunting compared to the clay target shooting I've done. So I take the advice where it's there.
I've done a bit of duck and goose, and with the duck, number 4s are seem to be really good in steel, and then with the geese, BB has been fine for me. I really like a semi-auto shotgun just because I have one for 3-gun anyways, and I'm handy with it. And I got the match saver, so I can pull that shot over into the port, hit the button, and be back up and get one more shot, just in case.
So in upland, very seldom do you flush 2 pheasants at once. Like I've done it twice in my entire hunting career of 15 years. Where there's been the opportunity to take 2 birds, and realistically, if you don't get on the second shot, it's flowing further away. I mean, it's not like a clay target where as soon as it leaves the machine, it's slowing down. That bird is, if you missed or got close the first time, it's speeding up. It's getting out of there. So,
yeah. I guess for duck and goose. The other thing to consider is that you're not using a 2 3/4 inch shell, right? Using a 3-inch or a 3.5.
Yeah, I normally shoot 3-inch shells at waterfowl just because that's what I have. When I'm shooting upland, it's 2 3/4. But it's about payload and reach and what's available for you at the time. So it's not that you can't, it's just that there's better tools for the job, right?
Yeah, and with goose, or mostly with goose, because I think with duck, number 4, you can get enough shot in there in a 3-inch, but some guys like the 3.5 for goose, just because when you get up to BB, there's not a lot of pellets in there.
That's right.
A little bit more shot payload gets you a little bit better coverage.
One thing to think about too is especially when you get into the higher end shotguns, there are chokes that come with your shotgun. And that's for the poors, apparently. You got to upgrade your chokes, and you get Briley's or Mueller's, or there's all sorts of different brands. The most important thing for me is the confidence you have in it. Now, there is technical advantages, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody outshoot their gun. Like, I don't know anybody who can, I mean, if you believe it, it becomes a thing, but are you shooting better, or are you just believing you're going to shoot better and thus shooting better? And it's such a psychological part of the game. And
I kind of like the ones. So with a lot of most shotgun chokes, you need to use a choke tool, like a key to get in there and turn them out. I like the ones that are like external thread, so you can just grab onto them and twist them off. For a 3-gun at least, because if you need to change between 2 different stages, it's super quick. You twist it off. You can do it by hand. You don't need your choke tool. And some of them will have labeling on the outside. So with the inset ones, there can be little scores in it to tell you what choke it is, which is kind of hard to read if it's called carboned up or if you've got bad eyesight. Whereas the other ones,
or you forget is 4 hash marks. Is that the tight one, or is it? I have choke tubes from various shotguns that interchange with my, like the Benelli Nova that I sold Kelly has the same choke system as my Beretta 682, which has the same choke system as Supernova, but my 391 has a different choke system. And making sure that they match if you're going to interchange is really important. Like Browning, Midas Gold, Optima, Select, Invector, Browning's an Invector. And then you get it into Carlson chokes, and Carlson makes them for multiple brands and styles. And you just have to make sure it matches. Now, the other thing is looking after your choke tubes. You shouldn't have any issues breaking them if you're careful, but if you drop them on a stone and they're not round anymore, then it's not going to work anymore, right?
Or the geometries. Crank it on too tight and then leave it in there for a long time and it gets stuck.
I've never I've left choke tubes in. Well, I my 391, that improved cylinder's been in there for 2 years. Now it's come out and gone back in, but I haven't shot any other choke in that gun for 2 years. And I leave it in there. I don't take it out every time I clean. I don't take it out every time I take the gun apart. I don't know. I've heard of it. I believe it's a thing. I don't know how you would ever possibly have a choke tube stuck in where you couldn't get it out. And if you did,
if you crammed it in too tight, then you might not be able to get it out.
Remember, you're still threading against a shoulder, right? There's still there's to keep your smoothness inside. There's where the choke tube, it can only go so far. There's no gap for it to go. Like it's a pretty precision machined instrument to get that to go in just perfect. So
Remingtons, maybe Remingtons. And you're describing precision machined. It's like I don't think they do that very well these days.
And that's fair. I don't know that I've ever owned. The only Remington shotgun I have ever owned is my Model 11, which is the Browning Auto 5 clone. So that's the only one I've got. And the first shotgun I ever ran 25 straight with trap. With a 100-year-old shotgun. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
What else can you do with a shotgun? What else can you talk for chokes and that kind of thing? I guess you can hunt big game. I've never done it. I've never
not on the prairies.
No, not because you don't have to. I think there's some jurisdictions where you can only use a shotgun, and in those areas they run a slug in some areas, and some you have to run buckshot.
So you get a saboted slug. So you put a slug inside of a sabot. So it's a
sabo.
Por favor. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Major.
No.
Thank you for that.
God. Sabo.
Yeah,
Sabo.
Like I've seen them. Never.
It's good.
I've
Sabo.
never used one. Yeah,
You've never used one. Okay.
I used one for fun one time. It was like not worth. I didn't even run it through a rifled barrel because I don't have one of those. But apparently, if you're gonna like shoot deer where there's a bunch of people and a bunch of houses and cottages and that kind of thing, you might have to go get a rifled barrel, run a Sabo slug, put a scope on a cantilever mount on your barrel for your shotgun, and run that. And that is the bee's knees for deer hunting with a shotgun. You could use buckshot, but
if I told you could get a rifled choke, would you believe me?
I would, because some people use those in 3-gun as a spreader choke. Because if you put shot through it, it just goes wow
everywhere.
Sprays it everywhere.
it's like shooting a 22 shot shell through a 22. If you're pointing it, I've only ever seen them used at rabbit targets inside of 10 yards. I've never seen anybody else use one for anything other than that, except a guy that I shoot with on a fairly regular basis. He forgot to take it out, and he was shooting, 15, 20-yard crossing birds that, normally you just vaporize them, turn them into black powder, and he couldn't hit one. He couldn't hit one, and he couldn't hit one, and he couldn't hit one. And then he found out he left his spreader choke in. And the funny thing is we figured it out about 4 shots before he did.
Uh-huh.
I think those are supposed labeled, to be used with, like, the idea behind those was with slugs. I think, I believe that
I don't think so.
Yeah. Why would they make a rifled choke for shot? I know they're a spreader now.
No, I think they were designed for spreader. If somebody told me they were, no, I mean, it's only an inch of spin at the end of the barrel. I don't think that would be effective, would it? For a slug?
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
The Forster slugs have like a little bit of like spin into the lead. I don't think that does anything either. I think those things, they don't have hardly any stabilization.
I thought that was just so that when it pushed through, those fins would deform to fill your barrel to have more gas pressure. I didn't think they actually did anything.
Correct.
They actually spun the choke or spun the slug. But there again, you're way outside my wheelhouse with slugs.
Mine as well, because I don't you can use a spreader choke in 3-gun. I don't particularly need to use one because I find cylinder is just fine. And I don't hunt deer with shotguns either because I don't need to. I can use a rifle. I've seen some people shooting deer with buckshot, and it doesn't look fantastic. It looks like you put a big wide wound pattern into the deer. Close up, you're going to do the trick. So will everything.
That's right.
And far away, it's not the greatest. You're probably going to get some gut shot in there. It's probably going to make a mess of your stupid deer. I don't know, but I'm talking trash about something that I don't do myself, which is probably something I shouldn't do, because there's probably
that's the only thing I talk about trash about is the stuff I don't do. I never talk trash about the stuff I do.
Buckshot hunting deer. What is this nonsense? Use a 308. Come on. If they're that close, use a lever action 30-30. It'll be just as good or better.
308. 303 British.
303 British. Yeah, we're Canadian here, eh?
That's right.
Yeah, I find a lot of people say like, it works for deer, but like everything does. Everything
That's
works
right.
for deer. Yeah, it works great under 100 meters. Everything does. There's like any gun will work there. Is there anything that we missed with shotguns?
I don't think so. It's it's a never ending money pit, I guess.
It can be.
It
can be very practical too. You could just use a pump action shotgun and go do like around a trap and go shoot pheasants and go do some ducks and some geese and maybe even shoot a deer with it.
Absolutely, you can. And like I said, it only becomes a money pit when you spend money that you shouldn't. Like, what's the right number? Well, there's a pair of Holland & Holland Royal Deluxe Royal Doubles or Royal Deluxes that have been for sale at the New York Gun Room for Holland & Holland for the last 7 years, and they're 250,000 pounds each, and you have to buy the pair. Like, there's no limit, right? When Kelly said, Kelly, you said you got 12 gauge Mech Junior press, and you're going to, but your shotgun's a 28. That's not going to work.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you get a Ponsness press, you can interchange Ponsness and Dillon. I believe you can get interchangeable kits, but you're cheaper just to buy another press.
Yeah, no.
You know what you should do?
What?
Reload slugs. Get those Lee drive key slugs. Make a bunch of those on your 12 gauge press. Cast your own slugs. Save a ton.
There you go. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Just do it in the backyard.
Yeah. Melt up some lead. Have that fumes. Just blow it away from you.
Yep. Okay. No problem.
You good on shotguns?
I think we are.
I think we're good.
All right.
And I think I've been called for dinner twice while we're doing this. So.
Okay.
Are you leaving us?
You got something better than dinner?
No. Well, what's for dinner?
No. I don't know. I'm just kidding you. But this is. I had to figure out a way to do this while being plugged in, because it's. I asked my kids to put my iPad on charge before I got home today, and of course they didn't. So I'm going to swap devices again because I've been plugged in for a little bit. So bear with me. I'll be right back.
Okay. Right. So why don't we get into listener feedback? Thanks again for talking about shotguns, Jason, but we'll get into listener feedback, and then if you want to join us, just hop on. So listener feedback is sponsored by Armory DC Gunsmith. Armory DC Gunsmith is a full-service gunsmith who specializes in firearms refinishing. He offers hot bluing, parkerizing, Cerakote finishes, as well as wood refinishing. Check out his online inventory of new and used guns, firearms, accessories, optics, and more at dcgunsmith.ca. You can also check him out on Facebook as well as Instagram. And he has some sales on right now too, so go on in and check him out because he's it's a fantastic guy. Got some great sales. All right, I'll read the one from Joel. Joel's been emailing us for the past couple of weeks, and I'll read these and we can talk about his, and then we'll switch out. So from Joel, it says, I'll start my reply by admitting I may be a dumbass for assuming something that looks like a dovetail that is 11 millimeters is an 11 millimeter dovetail. I'll also admit I know nothing about shotgun. Oh, hello.
Better?
Yes. Thank you. No feedback. So where was I? Oh yeah. So I'll also admit I know nothing about shotguns. This is my first. Congratulations, Joel. It's the perfect show to actually talk about everything that you're talking about. Anyways, I've attached some of the photos that I thought was a dovetail on the Canuck Defender Enforcer. It's an inexpensive red dot that seems to fit on the groove. Admittedly, this red dot doesn't hold zero when mounted there, which is why I'm writing this email in the first place. So he did actually send us some photos. Do I have a?
He's got a pick rail. He's got a pick rail on the top. It's a Picatinny rail is all like you can put a red dot right on that thing. Yeah, so it's not 11 millimeter. It's just a Picatinny rail, and you can stick anything on that. That is ready to rock and roll for a red dot or whatever. He shows an adapter on top of it, which looks like a raised rail with Weaver on the top. You don't need that. Weaver is kind of like Picatinny in that you can like clamp on some rings on there or a red dot. Weaver typically has fewer slots. Picatinny has like evenly spaced slots the whole way down. You have pick rail. You can put anything you want to on it.
Right. Well, he's talking about putting a Vortex on it. So
cool.
He has an inexpensive one already, but Vortex actually is fantastic. Just put it on there and buy one and put it on it. I don't really think we really need to get into his second one because it's actually comparing.
Oh.
What?
You know what he says?
What?
He says this red dot doesn't hold zero when mounted here.
No, but he's talking about, so the picture that he has, it's actually not the rail itself, it's the groove. So he's mounted it in a groove, and it's not real. But when you go back and look at his photo, let's go down to the second photo that's on the bottom. Okay, so he can mount it onto the rail there, and he's fine.
Yes, the pick rail on the top of the gun. Yes,
exactly.
The pick rail will take something. But he said, I was coming to some other conclusion. He says the red dot doesn't hold zero, which is why I'm writing this email in the first place. Right. That's his red dot's problem. Right. If he's got a crappy red dot and he's trying to shoot it on a shotgun, it's not going to hold zero because that's a lot of recoil. And if you're running like an eBay or AliExpress red dot on your shotgun, it won't hold zero. It's going to get shaken loose by that thing. So Vortex would.
And that's what he said. He was looking at putting a Vortex on it. And
yeah,
that's your better option. So, all right, Wayne A. Do you want to talk? Do you want to read Wayne A's? It's a little longer.
Hi guys, I'm messaging you about why you shouldn't send a picture of your pal. So here's what happened to me. I found a very nice Winchester 9410 410 shotgun that I couldn't live without. I contacted the seller. We agreed on a price of $11.50 shipped. So to be on the safe side, before I sent EMT, I asked if I could have his phone number, which he provided, and a picture of his pal and his address. No problem. He sent what I asked for. Good, right? So I sent my EMT and provided the password via text message. Everything good so far. Then he stopped texting me back. After I provided him my PAL picture, my cell, and my address. After a few hours of him not responding to me, I tried calling him. Guess what? It was a texting app. I got screwed for $11.50. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I checked his PAL. It was a valet license. So here's where it got better. Now I had to make out a police report, then call the RCMP. They had to cancel my license now because it was used in a fraud scam. I had to fill out a new application for a PAL, send a new picture, pay for a new license. Took, around 2 months to get a new one. So all my restricted firearms needed a new registration certificate because they were linked to my old license for 2 months, I couldn't use any of them until my new license arrived and certificates. When I was talking to the CFO, she said that the PAL was a guy in Chatham, Ontario. The seller said he was in BC. After I got off the phone with the CFO, I Googled the name on the PAL and the city and got a hold of the guy. He's an armored car driver, so he had to go through all the same crap as I did, getting a new license. But it was worse for him because he needed a valet PAL for his job.
His work, yeah.
On my next gun sale, I now don't trust anyone. The buyer provides me with his PAL and address. I call to verify it and his address to make sure his license and mailing address are the same, and was told the PAL was good, but they're not allowed to tell me if the address is. So now I send my expiry date and my number, and if that's not enough, I move on. So when your pal is sold on the dark web and Trevor Furlot is buying guns and having them shipped to Jane and Finch, I'm going to say, I told you so. I hope I'm not too late to prevent a bad trader rating. There might be a good reason he didn't send it. Sorry for the bad spelling and grammar. I'm a truck driver, not a school teacher. P.S. If you see my name on your next
school teacher.
Yeah.
We won't talk about Trevor anymore.
Yeah, grammar.
If you see my name on your next gun sale, check the number with the RCMP. It might not really be me because my old pal still has a good expiration date. And hi, Kelly. I'm from Kingston, too.
Hi, Wayne. Okay. So I think actually he did it correctly. If the CFO is open, we can call them. We can actually check and make sure a pal is registered to that person and it's a valid pal, etc. But I know I asked to look for, I want pictures. So I don't know. That's a lot of.
I do it through CGN because there's a trader rating and it's hard. It's very hard to spoof that. So I don't worry about it as much. I generally know that if I'm on CGN, I'm not going to get hosed. If it's on a more anonymous trading site, then I don't like
the dark web.
Especially the dark web. Yeah, that's very untrustworthy. The dark web is. Yeah. Got to pay for Bitcoin, pay for stuff in Bitcoins and stuff. Yeah.
No. Anyways.
There's your microcast for you.
Bitcoins.
Cyber cash? No.
Cyber currencies.
Yeah. Those are going forward. I don't know.
Dogecoin.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Wayne. From Troy, it says, "Hey guys, have been a short-time listener now at random intervals. First heard of the show when the Maccabee Defense SLR came onto the market and I got my pre-order in. I love listening to you guys on the way to and from work. Absolutely love the humor in episode 350 and about the right eye and left eye dominant children poking children's eye out. Okay. Learning a lot along the way. Tons of cool and interesting facts. Keep up the good spirits and the good work on the show," says Troy. Thanks, Troy.
Cool.
Alex, you want to read this
from Alex? "Hey guys, I was thinking it would be nice to hear about different water filtration methods in case the taps get shut off. Methods like distilling. Also, since the shooting in Nova Scotia happened, I have a feeling we'll have Rod or Tracy on as a guest. But what about other pro-gun personalities like Coleon Noir? Would be cool if Rod and Coleon were on a show together. Anyway, keep up the great work. Cheers, Alec." Well, Alex,
your timing is impeccable.
Wait just a little while, and you might find Coleon's opinions on Canadian gun laws shortly.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool. It's I like seeing his videos too, like the ones previous.
They're extremely well thought out.
They are really well.
Yeah.
He used to be a cop, right? I think he was.
So. No, lawyer, I thought.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. No, lawyer. You're right.
Yeah.
Do you guys know Ken Blanchard? Does that name ring a bell for you?
No,
it rings a
really.
bell.
Yeah,
Ken Blanchard wrote a book. Hang on a second. I think it's called Black Man with a Gun. And he used to have a Black Man with a Gun podcast.
I listened to that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Used
to listen to it a lot, all the time. And in fact, one of the first podcasts. I like his perspective. He hasn't done much gun stuff lately, but
he stopped doing podcasting altogether recently, I thought.
I thought he just started something else a little while ago because he got transferred or let go from it. He's a preacher and worked for the FBI or CIA or something. Like he'd done a lot of stuff and none of it seemed to make any money, but he was very interesting to talk to from a perspective that is totally outside my wheelhouse. And I'd like to see him and Coleon do something together, because Ken's got lots of age and experience behind him, but Coleon's got the tech and he's got the youthful part of it, right?
He's excellent at arguing as well.
Yeah, he is.
Making a point. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, this one's from Nathan House. It says, "Hey guys, I hope you're doing well and staying safe. I have a few questions and an idea for a subject of the show that I think would be good. First, though, I would like to answer Kelly. I sent an email a couple weeks back and I said how we are not allowed to use rifle for deer, and she wanted to know where it was located. He's located in southwestern Ontario. if I remember correctly. Okay, so it says, I'm located in Smithsville, a little town in West Lincoln area, and we only have shotgun season. He's talking about deer. So this is a perfect show to talk about because he was asking for shotgun recommendations for deer season and using a slug. Did we really cover that? We didn't really cover that,
We talked roughly about it. The go-to for a slug is a rifled barrel, Sabo slug, and a low magnification scope. We didn't talk about specific shotguns to use for that. There's not really a lot of selection, so whatever you can find locally that has a rifled barrel, that would be good for Sabos. And the reason why you want to go for a Sabo is that 12 gauge round chunk of lead has the BC of like a Mack truck, and it slows down very fast, and it's not very and it's a lot of lead in terms of diameter. Whereas if you can get a Sabo on that sucker and get it down to like 45 caliber, does that sound about right, Jason?
Way outside my wheelhouse, but yeah, I think so. You need to get Sabo down to. You can get them right down to 30 caliber. I think there's all sorts of. I think as long as you have money, there's more choices.
Yeah. But long story short, it's actually too big of a chunk of lead to effectively move down range. And the penetration is just kind of so-so. So a jacketed hollow point in a Sabo is going to give you better downrange ballistic performance. And the rifling in the barrel is going to give you that stabilized spin. So you're going to get a better mid-range shot with a rifled shotgun barrel and a Sabo slug.
All right. On to my first question. I was wondering what you guys have seen or have any opinions on the new BCL Coyote that's going to be coming out. Would it be worth it, especially with the past BCL? The BCL has had with rifles that have failed all the time and horrible customer service. But with a new company owning BCL, I was wondering if you guys think the Coyote would be a good gun to get, or would it be a better idea just to get the modern sporter?
I've heard that the customer service is much better. I've heard that the issues in the Mark 7 remain. And there are still many issues with that rifle. So I would personally not get the Coyote until it had a few hundred buyers and some reviews on CGN. I would want to see other people shooting it. Like the problems with for the WK-180, for example, didn't start coming out until a few months in, when people got thousands of rounds into them and they started running into reliability issues or durability issues. So I think that for a new firearm manufactured in Canada, I probably wouldn't buy one until there's, again, a few months in, a few hundred people have them, even if it's something sexy, even if the price is fantastic, just because the possibility of getting something that's a lemon are high.
Yeah, and the modern sporter is actually, if he wants, buy it. It's been proven.
Yeah, the modern sporter.
I wouldn't buy it till after Adriel's had it anyway. That's my new go-to.
Oh, the new go-to is to wait till Adriel reviews a rifle and then you'll buy it?
Well, maybe depending on his review.
Yeah.
depending if it's any good.
Yeah.
or I'll wait till Trevor finds something like I don't know, remote control boats or something, and then I'll buy remote control cars off him or something. I don't know.
That's true.
Have you guys ever heard of gnat shooting? Go back to the shotguns for a second.
Gnat shooting?
Gnat shooting, GNAT shooting. So what they do is they take a very, very rudimentary aluminum bodied model airplane, and they put like percussion caps on the bottom of it, and you stand and there's 5 guys like a trap line, and they fly it past the trap line and they shoot it. Oh yeah. It's not legal in Canada, from what I understand. You're not allowed to shoot.
What the hell are you doing talking about it then?
Because it's done in Europe, and it looks hilarious. And
how is it not legal? How is it not legal? Like, I can shoot whatever I want to.
I don't think so. Somebody told me something about not being able to have explosives mounted to a flying device and shooting it. Okay. And I know they were going
maybe the explosives. I agree there. Maybe you can't fly a drone with explosives on it.
Yeah, but it was. I know they were going to. I didn't go to the Grand Prairie shoot where I understood it was going to happen, and I never heard whether it did happen or not. But for everybody put $20 in, and somebody got on a remote control airplane, and you got to shoot it, and they would do circles and circle closer and closer to the fire stand.
That should be fine. There's no explosives on it. Shoot down an RC airplane all you want.
I'd rather shoot an RC car, but Trevor get mad.
No, an airplane would be way better because it would come down. Get one in gas too, so it comes down in flames. That'd be awesome. You gotta what do you gotta do to get flames on there? You gotta have like steel shot and some like magnesium in there and like a big fuel tank for long lasting.
Now you're talking about explosives now.
Well, no. I'm talking about light. Magnesium is a nice lightweight material, and you need lots of fuel in these things to fly them around for a long time. If it gets shot down because someone thinks it's a bird,
to catch fire.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence.
For entertainment purposes only, please.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, you're such a bad idea to bring on. Okay.
But seriously, look up Nat shooting on YouTube. It's awesome.
On YouTube? All right. So now everybody's going to go there. So going back to Nathan's email, his second question, he says, second question, guys, you were talking about cross-eye dominance and wanted to check to get some clarification. I'm cross-eye dominant, he says. And I watched some of the competition guys who have channels. I'm thinking he's talking about YouTube channels. And some of them were saying that you turn your head and line your eye up with the sights and it would work. And I do find it pretty good. And then you say eye patch. And then he says, now I'm wondering, what would that do? Would it make your non-dominant eye into the dominant eye? I was just wondering what's the thinking behind patching the eye. So you can do that. You can actually turn your head and you can line up, but actually what it does is if you don't get it lined up correctly, you're not going to hit where you're shooting. And then when we were talking about kids and dominance, kids, especially if you don't patch the eye, what it does is actually they get tired, lazy, they'll revert back to the more dominant eye. So
are you guys cross-eye dominant?
No.
I am absolutely cross-eye dominant.
I find if especially shooting gophers and that kind of thing, so I'm shooting right. I have to keep both eyes open and I have to just focus with the one eye. If I squint with my left eye and I just do that the whole time, this eye will start going weird and it'll get watery and it's just really bad. Yeah.
The tape on the glasses stops that, Adriel.
Or keeping both eyes open.
Yeah, or keep both eyes open.
Yeah.
But I think, Kelly, you should always teach people to shoot with their dominant eye. I'm 100% on that. And the reason for that is if you're transitioning from one different type of firearm to another. Like with a shotgun, you have to shoot with your dominant eye with a shotgun. Right. You can't do it cross-eye. Right. And then, of course, shotguns, both eyes are open anyway, right?
Right.
When you're going handgun, you can always use your dominant hand under your dominant eye with very little transition.
And that's easy to do. With rifle, it's totally different though. And the reason that we can do either or, but what we do find is that with adults, it gets extremely hard because if you're right-handed and you're left eye dominant, it's it's really hard for people who have been writing for 30 years or doing whatever for 30 years to switch over to the left. It's easier to actually patch the eye, and you can strengthen the non-dominant eye and it can become dominant. But with kids, it's a little easier for you to actually switch the hand over to the dominant eye. But what happens is also kids get frustrated easily. It can be a little bit more dangerous if they aren't able to do it. But not only that, I try and get them to use their dominant eye and the non-dominant hand first. And if it just doesn't work, I will patch the eye.
Yeah. You patching the eye or
I'm patching the glasses, taping the glasses. Yeah, because that's easiest.
The other thing is you don't actually even have to put the tape. And this is one thing we found with shotgunners is you don't even actually have to block the vision of that eye. All you have to do is put it on the top side of the glass and that's enough to distract the brain to use the other eye to focus. Like you don't have to cause out what they're. Right. But it's funny because everybody in our family is right-handed, left eye dominant, with the exception of Madison. Madison's the only one that shoots right-handed.
Your whole entire family is, and it's just like, So I worked with your kids quite a bit about that. He was asking about, competitive shooters, they'll just move their hair. When you move your head, think about it. When you're moving your head over, right? It means you're moving your equilibrium, right? You're not straight up and down. What that does is actually takes you off of your equilibrium as well. And you're not going to be as accurate. I also see people who do this as well, and they're not shooting exactly where they're lining up the shots because they're off. So,
have you seen the crossbody stocks or the cross-eye ribs for shotguns?
No.
Oh, so when I was in Vancouver, there was a couple of guys shot cross-eye ribs. So it's actually a rib that attaches. So you have a secondary rib on the shotgun that lines up under their dominant eye.
No. It's just as you started describing, I'm like, no, this can't be a thing.
And there was a guy who was a lifelong trap shooter who lost his dominant eye on his dominant side. So accident. And he actually got a custom-made stock where the stock he would mount on his right shoulder and shoot under his left eye. It was a crossbody stock. I tried it.
Goes across the sternum.
Yeah. No. So the stock goes into the right shoulder.
Yeah.
You still have and then you shoot it left-handed.
Okay.
But the recoil goes into your right. Hang on, I gotta make sure I get this right. No, he shoots it right-handed, so it's right hand, right shoulder, left eye. But it brought the right hand, it brought the whole gun over and underneath his left eye. Okay. It was craziness, and very expensive and not recommended. It's a thing and it exists.
Okay.
But I've seen the cross-eye rib. I've seen that multiple times. It's just an extra rib that goes on for trap shooting for sure.
So funny.
Okay.
Break your head if you didn't need it. But for people who are, lifelong shooters of one way, they have an injury to their eye.
That's true.
Yeah.
And when you have money, you have more choices.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be your tagline for tonight, isn't it?
I will make the gun bend to my will.
I have money. I will make it do what it needs to do. All right.
Exactly.
Finally, he says, with everything that's going on right now in Nova Scotia, you have the anti-gunners coming out trying to use the murder of innocent people to try and get what they want and ban all guns. So I was thinking it might be a good and educational to do a show on why stuff like this keeps happening and what we can do to prevent it. Also, you keep hearing the anti-gunners say that we should follow the lead of Australia and New Zealand. Okay.
Nope.
We have somebody who lived in New Zealand on the show tonight, and he's saying no. I even had someone say that we should adopt the same laws as Japan, so maybe go into how Australia and New Zealand were failures and did nothing for crime, and how adopting the laws of another country wouldn't work. Even maybe see if a retired cop or someone like that could be on to talk about it.
Cops don't know, though.
Yeah.
Cops don't know. And I mean, like Switzerland has very permissive laws. Czech Republic does as well. And they don't have like crazy murders or anything like that. Realistically, gun laws have a lot less effect than we all think that they do.
Yep.
I read a study that it was actually a really good natural experiment in the U.S. They legalized and went to shall issue for carry permits in a lot of states at almost random times, just because of the way the legislation came through. So that makes for a very good natural experiment where you can test a variable's impact on crime, on homicides, that kind of thing. And the result of that whole study was like, we can't even really tell. The influence is so poor. Going from no one's carrying to anyone who wants to can pack a gun. It's totally cool. Has such a little impact on overall crime rate that what's all these other things going to do? We already have licensing in Canada. We already have safe storage laws. Those are ones that you might be like, well, maybe that'll do something. like banning assault weapons and banning handguns and that kind of thing. At our point, it's likely that none of this stuff will have any impact on our crime, just because it's not a highly influential matter. It's income inequality, job availability, poverty. These have influence on murder and homicide and crime statistics. The gun laws don't.
I like to equate it to the marijuana legalization. Do you know anybody who wanted pot 2 years ago that didn't get pot?
Old people.
No, 2 years ago they could.
Old people. Old people. There's some people I was talking to at Costco, some like old 60-year-olds, and they're doing a ton of it because like they could go get some pain meds, they could just smoke some marijuana, and they're like, "Yep, hook me up with that now." But yeah, young people like they get it before.
I know nobody, and like I said, I don't know that many people in that community, but anybody who I know who wanted it got it.
Yeah. Oh, it's the same thing. If you want cocaine, you can get it. Hello?
Where?
In jail.
It's true.
If you can get it in jail,
hard.
You can get it anywhere.
If you can get it in jail, you can get anything anywhere. So this is absolutely true. Yeah. It's just going to cost you a little bit more in jail.
3 hots in a cot and more love than you can handle.
Oh, you bet. Okay. Anyways, I got to get going. He says, I have the weird guy asking me to try on some gloves. I don't know what that's about. So you're going to have to email us about that. I'm sorry for the long email. I hope you all stay safe, and I wish everyone from Nova Scotia the best wishes, he says. So thanks for sending in the email. Great questions, too. If you'd like to send us an email, send it to slamfireradio@gmail.com. No reviews. Patreon. We do have a brand new Patreon subscriber. Philip R. sponsoring us for $10. Thank you, Phil. Philip.
Did he put his address in there?
No.
Address in there? Oh.
No, Philip, you need to send us your address, and what's going to happen is send it to slamfireradio@gmail.com. Adrian will check it, and then he'll send you some really cool stuff.
I will break my social isolation. I'll put myself at risk of bodily harm, and I will mail you a patch.
Really? I haven't been to the anyways. Okay.
I'll put one of my kids at risk then, not myself. I'll save myself. I'll tell them to go to the post office.
Okay. If you'd like to become a Patreon subscriber, that's going to help us put more content out. We've been doing a lot of it lately. Go to patreon.com and look up slamfireradio.com, Slamfire Radio, and show us some love. All right. You can also support us by going to our website. If you go to our website and you're going to be going to Cabela's, you need some stuff, go there and click on the link that's on our website and order your stuff, and they'll actually send us some money as well. So check us out there. Get any shout-outs, Adriel?
Ian, he bought one of my 22s.
Did he? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay. Which one?
Maybe I won't say. I'm not going to say what any of my gun purchases or sales are until I bring them on to show them.
Okay. All right. What about you, Jason? Do you have any shout-outs?
No, you guys have done a great job of trying to keep everything as normal can be in our community with these microcasts, and it matters. So keep doing it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay. I guess if you say so.
Oh, and
what?
Anybody, I want a list of anybody who signs up for the charity shoot and asks for a refund. I want a list of those names.
Oh, Jason's coming to get you.
I haven't sent mine in yet, but whether I don't think I'm going to be making it, but I will be contributing to that for sure, because I know how much work they are and how important they are to the community. Because we got tons of kudos for the short-term afters, and I just think it's such a good thing. We should be doing as many as possible.
So these types of things, like the charity shoots or anything that gunnies are doing for their communities, are so important for us to promote them and just talk them up, put them on your Facebook page, put them tweet them out, whatever. And the reason is because we have these other things that are going on. We just need to show that we also do some really good things too. Try and counter.
There's another side of the coin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So I don't really have a shout out other than to all of our listeners. Thanks for sending in all your emails, and also for all the ideas that you're coming up with for microcasts as well. Keep them coming. We'd love to hear about them.
Yeah. Tell us more ideas.
Yeah.
On the microcasts.
Yeah.
We're going to do one on radios. Oh, Hey,
What?
if any of you guys have your ham license,
Yes.
come on our microcast because we want to talk about radios.
I know a few people who have their ham license.
I think I might get one just so I can buy one of those Baofungs with a clean conscience. Yeah. Conscience. There we go. Yeah. And
I think it's the fact that it's from China that would cause my dirty conscience, but apparently you have.
If they're unlocked from China too, you can do it. You can be like, I want to broadcast on this frequency, and it'll just let you. And you probably shouldn't. So you probably need like that. There's probably some decent. It can't be that hard, right?
What, to get your license?
Yeah. I bet you just have to like think of a cool like call name, and you have to say like, Smokey, this is the Bandit on here, 10-4, Roger out. Let's say that a couple times, and then they're like, you're sold. Good job. You go get your Chinese radio.
I think that's more CB than ham.
I don't think you're right.
Ham license? It takes a lot to get a ham license.
Does it?
I don't think so.
Oh, you're dissuading me immediately.
Yeah. No.
You got to join I think it's a lot of learning that you have to. There's a lot of theory involved in it. My brother-in-law's got it, and I think it's one of those money pit trails that you can go down just like guns too. Like it's
absolutely.
But yeah, I mean
I know some people that got them.
I know people who got it when they were poor, Adriel, and they're not as tech savvy as you. I think you should do it. And you can.
How much does it cost? Anyways, we would like a real expert, not me, after I do this test. So if you know anything about that, please contact us. And if you've got like a decent headset, even better.
Excellent. Okay. So we're just going to say goodbye to everybody now. So please join one of our national firearms associations like the CCFR. Check them out. They got some really cool things coming up. Go and show them some love. Become a member. If you haven't renewed your membership, also do that. By the way, they put out an announcement today that they're not sending out any cards until the end of the restrictions because the people that do the cards are
in lockdown.
They
had another big announcement today, but I won't spoil it.
Yeah, but yes, not yet.
Mm-hmm.
They'll announce that. Check us out on Gunners Canada. We do have a thread over there. I post the episodes over there, and you can talk to us over there too if you want. So also like us on Facebook. We are at 2404 for likes. Give us a like. All right, that's it. Everybody say goodbye now.
Goodbye now.
Goodbye now.
So if you have any comments or questions for the show, please send an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com. Now go grab a gun and shoot something.
When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.